Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC on ESPN plus 16, Justin Gaethje versus Donald Cerrone. We're going to talk about two free plays that we have on this card. We also have an option on Wagertalk. Take a look, link down in the description. And if you like UFC gambling, UFC content, UFC overall advice, definitely subscribe, give this a thumbs up. I always appreciate everybody who does give this a thumbs up, and I always continue the conversation down below in the comment section. So definitely let me know your thoughts, let me know who you're betting, let me know if you agree, disagree. I always appreciate the conversations because honestly, this is a great community of people, and I always love hearing from everybody. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is our free play. Our first main free play is on the main event of the evening between Justin Gaethje and Donald Cerrone. Now the current line we've got between these two, we've got Justin Gaethje is a minus 180. You've got Donald Cerrone at a plus 152. And Gaethje is 20-2. Donald Cerrone is 36-12. Now, we're going to first dive into Donald Cerrone here. Now, this, first off, is definitely going to be a fight where the winner of this could fight Khabib or Tony Ferguson if that fight is going to finally happen. A fifth time they're giving this an opportunity to happen. But if that fight does happen, this winner here could potentially jump in there, pending Conor McGregor, pending a lot of other things that the UFC has in mind that we don't know of. But this is a very, very intriguing fight and could potentially be a title challenger. So the first one we're going to talk about is Donald Cerrone. Now, I always like to run down the last three fights, and the reason being, once again, as I always like to say, is we're really looking at stylistic matchups here. We're looking to see if the line's good. We're also looking to see if we're piecing this together and what other fighter is exposing the other fighter's weaknesses and really taking a look at opportunities where another fighter can expose the other fighter, elevating, age, everything else, and that's what we take a look at. We're not going to be diving into statistics. We're going to be doing all that stuff. We're really looking at how we can really cap this fight, and does the line make sense for us to place a bet. So, first thing we'll be talking about is Donald Cerrone. Now, Donald Cerrone, 3 fights ago, he fought Alexander Hernandez. Now, this was a fight, the hype train was real. This was where everybody was really talking up Alexander Hernandez. He was looking good. He actually really talked the talk. He was bashing Donald Cerrone at the press conference and really just didn't really make it out like, could he be the guy? You know, he really, even you saw Dana White really excited to talk about this guy, and really he looked the part. But in this fight, he did not look the part. I mean, Donald Cerrone, from bell to bell, went out there and really just completely obliterated him. There was no point that really Donald Cerrone was in trouble. You really saw that the young gun in Hernandez just did not have it. It was pure pressure from Cerrone. He could not stop the combinations. Defense was not there at all for Alexander Hernandez. So I thought this was a really great fight for Cerrone. This was another fight that really just showed his ability. A lot of people started knocking him, a lot of talk with, is he motivated? Does he really want to actually be out there? Is he just doing this for fun? A lot of times he talked about way back was, I just want to fight. I just want a paycheck. I just want to fight. I love to fight. He still sings that tune a little bit, but now he has a son. He has a little bit more motivation. He's now talking about he wants to fight for a title. So I think having this child has really, really refocused him. And in that fight there, he went out there and he dominated Alexander Hernandez, finishing him in the second round by TKO. Next fight was against Al Iaquinta. This was a fight where it was a 5-round fight, and a lot was really being made of Al Iaquinta at this point, where what he did against Khabib, and he was able to withstand Khabib, and could he really go out there and really put the pressure on Donald Cerrone? Because a lot of people are looking at that and saying, you know what? That's the path to victory. That's definitely the highlight, or the headline, I should say, where people are saying, you go forward, that's how you beat him. And here, Al Iaquinta could not do a thing. I mean, it was really a landslide. The jab was looking great for Cerrone. His combinations from the outside. You had a lot of lunging punches from Al Iaquinta, who didn't really put much together, couldn't really do much at all. It was a sweeping decision for Donald Cerrone, and the fact that he was able to really keep Al Iaquinta on the outside pretty much the whole fight, what says a lot. That says a lot about what he's really capable to do against pressure, against someone like Gaethje, what's going to be happening there. We're going to get more into Gaethje in a minute. So he goes out there and he gets a sweeping decision victory over Al Iaquinta. And then the Tony Ferguson fight, which is one that I am very sad that it did not fully go through. It was just the potential to be just a phenomenal fight. But you saw both of them had some highlights. Both of them were landing shots. Both of them were going after it. And, you definitely have to look more here at the statistics. You've got Ferguson was threw 104 punches, landed 52. Cerrone threw 95 punches, landed 38. So you saw Cerrone was taking some damage there. That's where he ended up getting the broken nose, blew his nose out, his eyes blew up, and there was just not much more that you could really say about that fight. Cerrone wanted to keep moving forward, but you saw that Ferguson was having some success with the pressure, with his combinations, with him moving forward. So there's definitely something to be said about that fight, although I gotta say, Ferguson looked good coming back. I thought he looked really good coming back. And I thought that Cerrone really held his own. It's not like Cerrone's some slouch, but he held his own there against Ferguson, who everyone is saying has an opportunity, an absolute opportunity, to go out there and beat Khabib, who is a world beater. So, for Ferguson and Cerrone to have that battle, would love to see it again. But it ends up being a doctor stoppage from for Ferguson. He gets that victory. Now we're going to talk about 3 fights ago for Justin Gaethje. Now, 3 fights ago, he fought Dustin Poirier. Now, these fights here, and the thing about Gaethje is, and everybody knows, is, it's this pressure, the way he moves forward, but the fact he stands toe-to-toe with some of these guys. And I give so much credit into this fight in the fact that Dustin Poirier, if you're going to stand toe-to-toe with this guy, he's got power, great boxing, good footwork, actually great footwork, slick jab, great combinations, the way he moves, he's tough as nails. I mean, there's so many great things which made this fight such a hyped fight, and there was an absolute war. But you go out there and you saw what Gaethje does against everybody, and it's that he throws those leg kicks. And he went out there and threw some hard leg kicks and really started draining and pulling that power away from Poirier. Poirier was still able to move forward, still able to land some big shots, but the fact that he wasn't as smart, I think, in that fight, Gaethje just, he's willing to, give one to get one. You know what I mean? He's willing to just go forward and, push, and he's willing to hit a couple times, and then he wants to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna beat your will, and I'm gonna keep pushing forward. In that spot here, it was the volume, though, really, that normally you don't see, but the volume normally is where Gaethje really excels. And he's able to really just pour that volume on you, and you're not able to do very much. You're really kind of cornered into a position where you have to fire back, and he's out firing you. And in this spot here, Dustin really outgunned Gaethje, and that's really, I believe, the path to victory to beating Gaethje is outfiring him. You have to outfire the guy who's got the pressure. You've got to be, instead of being, the nail where Gaethje likes to be the hammer, you've got to really turn that on Gaethje. And in this fight here, Poirier did a great job. And if you look at the statistics here, Poirier threw 351 punches in the 4 rounds, and you had Gaethje who threw 212. And Poirier landed 174, Gaethje landed 115. So you saw that he was able to really push forward. You saw that he was able to really land some big shots. And that was really what did it. A lot of it was the leg kicks. The damage with the leg kicks is just something that really transcends the entire fight, where you land a bunch of those and everything starts to change. But still, Poirier was able to push forward. He ends up beating Gaethje in the 4th round by TKO in an absolute brawl. Great fight for him, but it shows that you have to outgun Gaethje in order to beat him. The next 2 fights were very interesting fights because you've got, the next was against James Vick. James Vick was the one that started the whole thing that Gaethje was like the Homer Simpson of MMA, where he was always getting slapped around and fighting tomato cans and, had the slurred speech and all these other things. A lot of really bashing Gaethje. And James Vick went out there, who's got the range, who, good boxing, comes from a boxing background, has the height, And he could really do nothing. It was the pressure early. Vic didn't know, up against the fence, which again, I think you're going to see a lot of that with Cerrone backing up a little bit, although Cerrone is good off his back foot with his combinations. But you had a brutal knockout from Gaethje, landed in the first round, KO victory for him, big win for him, and that really shut up Vic. But in that fight there, I'm going to say it actually after this one, but you did see the hook. And that is something that I think is going to happen in this fight, and that's something that Cerrone needs to watch out, is the backpedaling of when Gaethje is pushing forward, that backpedaling that his opponent's doing, and he throws those looping hooks. And a lot of times, they're looking almost at a leg kick or what he's going to do, and the angle that he throws those hooks, he did it against Vic, and then he also did it against Barboza. And that was a fight that I was actually at, and it was the same type of thing. It was the same thing where, hey, what's he going to do? And in that fight where he pushed forward, Barboza was worried a little bit about the takedowns, but in that fight there, it was the same hook. It was the same type of punch where he kind of got his opponent up against the fence or backpedaling, and he throws that looping hook that catches you right in the jaw. And the same thing with Barboza there. Barboza, top-level kickboxer, all these great things where you're going to stand toe-to-toe with Barboza. You've really got to throw some power. You've really got to outgun him. And he was able to land a big shot early, ends up knocking out Barboza in the first round. So those are the 3 fights for each of these guys. Now, again, what does that mean? Now, I'm piecing this all together. Obviously, the thing that we're going to talk about is Gaethje's got the wrestling. I mean, there's no doubt Gaethje has wrestling, doesn't use it. And that's something through his career. I don't expect him to use that in this fight. Cerrone has great ground game, good off his back. So that's actually that is absolutely no path to victory. I think Cerrone may be looking at a takedown because I think he's a lot better when it comes to the ground game, but you've got some good wrestling from Gaethje, but I don't think he's going to be using that. But you've got, out of the 20 wins from Gaethje, 17 are by knockout. So he is looking there to either be knocked out or knock his opponent out. And that's something where does Cerrone have that will to be able to do that? And then you've got the offense when it comes from the leg kicks. And that's going to be something that, yes, we're talking about that and the leg kicks, but you've also got to see Cerrone has kicks. I mean, he's got sensational body kicks. He's got head kicks. He's got good kicks from different angles. And the leg kicks from Gaethje is definitely going to be a tool that he uses throughout the fight, but if he lands them, slows his opponent down, that's how he's really able to capitalize. Now, another big part of this is that Gaethje is a fast starter and Cowboy is a very slow starter. And it's something that even it's in Cowboy's mind. Cowboy's always kind of said that. Always kind of said, I'm a slow starter. I like to get hit first. I'm a slow starter. And it's almost in his mind. And I think if he just kind of starts to prep himself a little bit better, I think he's going to come out a little bit better than he normally does. But a guy like Gaethje, that's something to me is a big red flag in this fight for Cowboy, because Gaethje is going to come out there guns blazing for the most part when he's out there looking to throw some hard leg kicks, looking to throw a big punch. He's not looking for a long fight. He's willing to go there, but he is going to push hard. And if Cowboy's not ready in that first round, I think that he could take a lot of damage. And the fact that, and the biggest thing for me that I like about Gaethje is the fact that he has the highest strikes landed per minute in UFC history at 8.5 per minute. Now that is astronomical when it comes to what guys do in the UFC. I mean, that is a very high rate. And somebody like Cerrone has the grappling. Cerrone is versatile when it comes to his combinations. He's got the elbows, he's got the Muay Thai. There's a lot of good things that you gotta like about him. But he has struggled with the pressure. And I know that is something that is regurgitated over every single place on YouTube, on ESPN, on wherever you're gonna watch something, they're gonna say that. But that is an absolute fact. And it's also the fact that Cerrone's hittable. Cerrone is hittable, and he's the kind of guy also that is willing to get hit. He's willing to scrap, and he loves the brawling of it. He's the more technical fighter, but he loves the brawling of it, and I think he's going to be pulled into a brawl here. I really believe that this is a fight where Cerrone if he stays technical, it's going to be a very tough fight for Gaethje. But if you've got Cerrone who is going to be pulled into a brawl, which Gaethje is so good at pulling in his opponent into a brawl. I think that's what he does here. I think that that's a spot where he's not going to be able to really stay from the outside, work from the outside. He's going to be up against the cage, and when he's up against the cage, that's something that Gaethje lands big shots. And the slow starter part is a big part of this when it comes to Cerrone, but also the fact that Cerrone just fought in June, and he fought against Ferguson. He took damage there. His face was pretty messed up there. So that a lot, I think, really pulls me to Justin Gaethje in this fight. Now, you've got the line at -180. I think that's actually very good. I think it's a good price. I like Cerrone in general, a great fighter. Overall, I think I'm a fan of his, but I think Gaethje here in this position, what he's able to do early on, I think that Cerrone's going to take a lot of damage. I think that the leg kicks are going to be part of this, but the pressure obviously is going to be part of this. And I think that first round is a critical round for Cerrone. I think he takes a lot of damage in that first and second round, which slows him down. And when he's able to really, Cerrone's looking to pick it up, I think it's going to be too late. I like Justin Gaethje here. I'm betting Justin Gaethje as my main free play here at -180. I think he goes out there, he gets the job done. Another highlight reel finish for him. I am betting Justin Gaethje. That is my main free play for UFC on ESPN plus 16. We've got one more play here. It is going to be Nikita Krylov versus Glover Teixeira. So Krylov versus Teixeira. I mean, this is a great fight. It's a stylistically a fun fight to watch. Now, you've got Krylov, who is -110. Got Glover, who's also -110. And you take a look at these two guys here. You've got one guy who has had 2 fights in the UFC. You've got another guy who is a long-time experienced fighter in Glover. Now, we'll first talk about Krylov. Now, Krylov is 1-1 in the UFC since entering. Now, you take a look at his first fight when he was in the UFC. He fought Jan Blachowicz, and now we know where Jan is at this point. I mean, Jan is definitely looking good. Just finished off Rockhold, has looked very good overall. A tough fighter. And this was a fight here where Blachowicz really was able to do what he needed to do in that fight. Takedowns, landed some big shots, pressure, overall looked good. This was something where he really made Krylov uncomfortable. There was a lot of spots there where the pressure made him very uncomfortable, and that was a spot where Blachowicz ended up getting the victory. Second round, Darce choke, finishes Krylov. The last fight that he just had was against OSP, and this is a fight here, although it was a win, it was a win for Krylov. To me, this was a fight where you saw OSP take him down a lot. You saw OSP have some good spots. You saw OSP land some big shots. Krylov ended up getting this victory, but the takeaway for me here really comes off of the fact that OSP was able to get him to the ground. Now, you've got someone like Glover, who I believe is a lot better on the ground. He's going to be very technical when it comes on the ground. He has stronger shots when it comes to overall striking, in my opinion. And OSP is 1-3 out of his last 4. So he beat OSP, who is definitely on the downturn when it comes to overall where he is in the UFC. So although he's 1-1, the win to me was not very exciting when you're really backing Krylov if you're taking a look at what he does. Now, I'm trying to go with these a little bit quicker. Now on Glover, you got Glover, his last 3 fights, he ended up fighting Corey Anderson, and I thought that in that fight, overall Glover looked bad. I think that it was a bad strategy. I thought that he just couldn't get anything done. I don't know if it was the wrestling of Anderson that really kind of nullified what Glover can do, but overall Glover looked bad in that fight. It was a decision victory for Corey Anderson. I'm actually not even high on Corey Anderson, but it was a decision victory for Corey Anderson. The last 2 fights were between, he had Carl Robertson and Kutilaba against Robertson, who's a kickboxer, strong fighter. Overall, I think he's got great skills, but the takedown would be the path to victory for Glover. And in that fight there, Glover was hit, Glover was hurt early in that fight, and somehow he ended up coming out of that. And that's the same thing that happened with Kutilaba. Both of these was that he was hurt, and he's able to always push his way through, find top control, find back, and end up getting the finish. And he's always able to do that. Even it's almost like when, a deer is hurt and is able to run off gets hit, but is able to at least run off the street. It's almost like that in this situation because even when Glover's hurt, he still is able to go into autopilot and get the takedown. And he's so strong, and he just pretty much is able to just manhandle and ragdoll his opponent to the ground. He did it in both of them, even against Krylov. Krylov's got a lot of power, a lot of strength, and early again, Glover was hurt, and then that second round, Glover ends up getting the takedown, ends up getting the finish. So in both of these, against Roberson and Krylov, Glover gets the finish by submission. So with that being said, you've got Krylov who's well-rounded, you've got Krylov who has got good striking, but the thing for me here is the inexperience. I think that's such a big part of this, and you've got Glover who has looked good as of late. I mean, overall, pretty much for me also, Glover has only lost to top-level guys. They keep now kind of throwing him these, these kind of up-and-comers, and he's looked great against these up-and-comers. And the fact that Krylov overall, and the big part is he is susceptible to being taken down. And it's happened pretty much over his career. And the statistic that I liked here was he's been taken down in 5 straight fights, and over those 5 fights, he's been taken down 9 times total. So that's a lot of times being taken down. And a guy like Glover, you don't need much. I mean, if Glover gets you down once, he can ground and pound and get his way to a submission victory. So for me here, it's a pick'em. I think this is a really great price. I think that absolutely Glover should be at a -150, -160. I think that it's way off. Krylov looks great. I think he can talk the talk here. I think he looks good overall. He's got a nice record, but even the victory for me here against OSP, I thought was not that great, and there were spots where OSP really didn't take advantage of Krylov where he could have. So I like Glover here. I think Glover goes out there. I think it's either, I'm not picking which way. I think he can go out there and get the submission victory. But overall, I'm taking Glover here at a -110. I think the price is great. I think he goes out there and gets the job done against Krylov. So those are my 2 free plays. I do have another option on Wagertalk, link down in the description. 2 free plays are Justin Gaethje -180 to defeat Donald Cerrone, and Glover Teixeira to defeat Nikita Krylov -110. Again, definitely give this a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you've not yet done so. Appreciate the comments. Always love hearing from all of you. We'll have the bet review show out on Sunday. We will go over these 2 plays as well as the play I have on Wagertalk. So we'll go over 3 plays on Sunday. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show, and I'll see you Sunday at the bet review.